Hey guys, um, it's been quite a long time since I've made any kind of video talking about some of the Metro stuff I've been working on. I've been grinding away for a couple of months now, I guess. I can't remember the last time I even made a video. Um, but the server's been a little bit quiet. It was down for a bit with the Arma 1.3 update. But in the last week or so, we've had a lot of new faces pop up. So I figured I would make another video just showing off some of the stuff I've been working on. And I wanted to start in my gear pack and then move over to the map. Just to show you kind of how some of the stuff I made here translates over to that mod. So without further ado, let's look through some of the new equipment that I've made in here. So I've made a ton of new variations to different uniforms. So like for example, just little things like I've created like a medic uniform for the Reich here. I've created a couple of different mask objects for the bandits. And then another one was over here. I created a summer Spartan outfit. And then I just have a couple of other things over here. I don't think I've shown off any of these items in this section here yet. These are things I've been working on for quite some time. So I've added the Arbat Confederation. So I created a couple of uniforms for them here. So I've got just like a generic gray. And then this isn't necessarily Arbat specific. This is just a Tarn Muster uniform that I've created that I think looks pretty cool. I've also created things like bandit uniforms here, so it's just really ragged, tattered kind of clothing, though I like the wife beater a lot. I'm actually a big fan of how this looks. It is just disgusting. I've created a bunch of different hats, so I've got a couple of like mobster type hats here. I've created a bunch of different berets and things. I've created a lot of night vision as well, so I have my 3 sets there, and then we have Night Hunter right there. They don't work right now. They used to, but for whatever reason, the server isn't taking the night vision system very well. So I've temporarily removed it and then basically replaced them with this orange flashlight right there, which is just like an enhanced version of the standard Soviet flashlight beside it. I've also created some press clothing as well, so for people who want to run through and report on some news, they can do so with my press vest and the little camera that I created as well. Built that in Blender. Drop that stuff there. I've created a bunch of new pouches as well, so I've got some light pouches, and I've got some more kind of assault style pouches. And I think they look pretty good on a uniform. So if I were just to make something just kind of generic over here, I've just got like some black thing that I've created. Put a big supply backpack on right here like that. If I throw on like the black Alton, I think this stuff looks pretty good. The pouches, they blend in with a lot of the stuff that I made really nicely. A big issue that people had for a long time was the armor not working correctly. And I realized, like, only a few days ago, I'm going to be honest, that I wasn't attaching any of my armor to the armature. So when you're running, the armor itself, like the values, aren't keeping up, which is why it was so inconsistent for people. Now that I've attached it, these helmets actually function a lot better. So if you have like a 9mm close up, this thing can take like 6 shots from it. Big snipers, obviously, are going to go right through it. And I'll actually show those off as well because I haven't shown off any of my new weapons just yet either. But I'm just going to drop that for right now. I've also got these things over here. So they don't have actual models yet to be sat on the ground like everything here. But this was just something I was kind of creating. It was supposed to be Children of the Forest, and I'm still going to give it to them. But it does kind of look a little more culty than anything else. But right now, like, I'm actually super happy with how it turned out. just grab this stuff here. Pick that up. Like, I think this looks really good, especially in the forest. Over here, I've actually created a tent that you can pick up and store in your bag, and then you can just kind of crouch inside it and hide in bushes. Next to the tent, I do have a deployable ladder as well, so you can throw this into your inventory, and then you can place it around and go up onto like roofs and things. But that's not really the focus here right now. You might be wondering, what the hell is this stuff? So the uniforms are all cool, but we've had people ask in the past if they could be actual mutants, and we weren't really sure how we were going to make it work. We were kind of brainstorming ideas, and I figured what I could do is just take splotches of stuff and then texture them to look just really disgusting, and then use Zelek's character, obviously, the quintessential gear mod kind of dependency for everyone, to basically just throw these onto your character. So when they're walking around, you do look like someone who is not doing so well. And for example, if I throw on this full bodysuit, you can see some sores are all over me. This is for the face, so you can see some stuff pops up on my face. I'll drop the helmet, so I got just growths and things. I figured if you're gonna be using this to look like a mutant, then you shouldn't need to wear a gas mask. If you're gonna wear a gas mask with this stuff on, it would be mostly just to conceal who you are. So the face sores that I've created, or rather I guess they aren't really on the face or on the head sores act as a gas mask, because the map itself does have pockets of radiation up on the top again that will hurt you if you don't have a mask on. So I just gave them the same kind of naming scheme to make that work. So you can walk up on the surface with these sores, and you're good to go. We also have this other one here, the mutant sores. So if I just drop everything, I can kind of show you how it all looks. So this is like the full body one here. If I just drop that, I have this one here, just with some bubbles and stuff all over you. Just a little bit of variation for people. I still have to go back in the blender and make them like an object that sits on the floor. But that's basically it for clothing. I haven't really done too much else in here. Getting the armor fix was huge. I'm so happy that everything here functions how it should. Like my Juggernaut armor all functions exactly how it should function now. They aren't super strong. I didn't want to make them absolutely overpowered. I'm not really a big fan of that. So if you do hit one of these with like a full mag of a Kalash, they will go down. But I figure, you know, if you're wearing this armor and you can take 20 shots from, you know, a 5.56 weapon, that's pretty good. And actually on that topic of weapons, I'll show off a couple of the guns I've made since then. So pretty much everything here I've shown off in a previous video, with the exception of the PPSH right here, at least in this row. So I've grabbed this. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's pretty cool. It's got a big drum on it. I believe it was 90 rounds. So yeah, you can throw a lot of bullets down a tunnel with that there. Over here, I've made a bunch of new weapons. So I've got the Groza here. This is the newest addition to the pack. Pretty happy with it. It's not the best painted. I was kind of rushing through it. You can see like little bits right there aren't perfectly painted, but I think it's pretty cool. This is what it sounds like. Kind of like that. I'm a fan of it. Other than the Groza, we have a bunch of shotguns in here and a few snipers. I also made a silenced PM here with an extended mag on it. The reason for that is you can switch to full auto. Really, really quiet. A couple of people in the server said this would be really good for like assassinations, because it makes little to no noise at all. So I'm pretty excited to see if people kind of hop in the server to use this to enact certain activities. Going down these shotguns here, we've got the bicycle shotgun. I think this looks super good. Like that. This was textured by Jacob. He helped me get a lot of these models, pretty much all of them for the most part, and he runs the server with me. And so we made this, pretty happy with it. I put a custom sound on it, of course. I think all of these guns here, for the most part, are custom. But this is what the bicycle shotgun sounds like. I thought it'd be fun to put a little bicycle bell onto it. All of my shotguns also use buckshot. I had an issue way back in the day when I first started making these guns where I had my ammunition kind of swapped around. I didn't know what to do. So when you fired the buckshot originally, it would then spawn more buckshot that tries to spawn more buckshot. So I think I have like, what is that, like, 9 or 10 pellets or whatever it is I put in here. You would click once in the server and your gun would essentially spawn an infinite amount of shotgun shells. It would crash for everyone. So I moved to slugs, and then once I figured out how to get it working, I'm super happy with that. Very happy with how it turned out. We've also got the quadlet now. So it functions pretty much exactly like the duplet, obviously. It's just got 4 shots in it, obviously. We've also got the sawed-off duplet right here. And that's because this guy, he actually works as a sidearm. So you can carry this with you in your pistol slot if you choose to. And again, same thing. It's got the buckshot in there. I'll drop these. This right here is kind of a custom gun. So this is one that I made in Blender with the help of a couple other models. I kind of stitched them together, made some changes up on the rails, and kind of modeled a few little things in there so it all fit together. But this is my AKV-74. So it's basically just a bastardized AK. I have like a AS Val stock on it. And I figured because people kept asking for more submachine guns, I would include this, just a custom gun that I designed, along with the Groza, of course, just to get some smaller weapons with faster fire rates for people. I love this gun. This is like one of my favorite guns. It's not quite my favorite because it's gonna belong to the Valve. This, I think, is the coolest gun. I'm so happy with it. So if you fire it, I like the way it sounds, and then of course you gotta chamber it every time. It's not animated like on the gun there. It's just that's more work than I think it needs to be for me. It might be lazy, but I'm juggling so many different things on the project. I didn't want to bog myself down with creating custom animations for everything here. And for the most part, people don't seem to complain. They say it's a really small thing. But this guy here packs such a mean punch. The iron sights, I'm a big fan of as well. I think they're awesome. Yeah, I love this thing. We also have the Preved. So the Preved here, it's a heavy gun. And I'll actually show off how I'm balancing heavy guns a little bit when we get into the map. But stuff like this doesn't exist in the arsenal for anybody. Because one of these rounds will tear through all of these juggernauts. So it's heavy, the ammunition is heavy, and there are very specific instances where you can actually get your hands on this. This is what it sounds like. So it's basically just a deeper version of the Valve. I didn't want to make it too crazy. But if you're paying attention, this one here is kind of more of like got more of a snappy sound to it. This one here is a little more guttural. Big fan of this guy here. I'll drop him as well. Going down the line, I've got this guy here. So if I like that, This is the PSL. I figured a slightly different version of the SVD would be kind of cool. So I've got that in here. We've also got the SR1. Just kind of standard looking assault rifle, sort of looking DMR type thing. This guy here is a 30 round mag in it, so it is pretty strong in terms of like the DMRs, of course. I've added the Bulldog. So this is what that guy looks like right here. So I give the same sound as the Kalash, same caliber. They're basically the same gun. I know there's differences, but I figured I would just kind of make them function pretty much the same for the most part. This next sniper here is a custom one. So this is a revolver that I've extended out, and I put like a AK mag, or sorry, an AK handguard on it, and then I put it back here like that. Put the AK sight on it for the iron. So you swap, you got that. I love this one though. It looks really goofy. Big fan of it. I like the weird hybrid guns that I've been working with. We've got probably the most requested gun, which is the Sammy. With, of course, the massive drum on it. Because this is a 5.56, this drum will fit on AKs. It'll fit on the Bulldog. It'll fit on what else is there? I think there's other ones in here somewhere it'll fit on. But any 5.56 for the most part, it will sit on that just fine. I'll drop that. This is a weird one that a couple people are asking for. This is the G11. So, for people who kind of know about the history of this, it is a really, really goofy gun. Actually, I'm going to pick up one of my pouches here so I can throw a mag in. Because this gun, the rate of fire in full auto, it's not really quick. I think it's 400 rounds per minute. But when you go into burst fire mode, this is what it's like in real life. From what I was able to see, it's 2100 rounds per minute. So that was 3 right there. And if you spam this, it is insane. Yeah, I love this. It is so weird. I wanted to make it gross and plasticky looking. Like, it is just such a dumb gun. But it's so much fun. I love it. Over here, we've got the Gatling right here. So someone says more like a minigun. So I mean, I'll shoot it so you can kind of decide for yourself. I think it's so cool. It's got a 500 round box on it. So you can throw some rounds down. You can't aim with it. That's kind of the only thing. And again, this operates just like the Preved, where it is a heavy weapon. So this doesn't show up in arsenals. I've also got the Scar H, which you think, what the hell is wrong with it? And that's because people kept asking for NATO weapons. And I figured it'd be fun to just throw an old, rusted, broken Scar where the sight isn't even properly aligned. It's just not good. And another thing with it is when you shoot it, you can't actually fire again unless you put another round in like that. So it's like a really terrible DMR, or a really terrible sniper, rather. It's so stupid. I kind of love it. And then the last thing here is the flamethrower. This was another one that people were kind of excited about. You'll see he doesn't really hold it correctly. but it's whatever, because this one here is really goofy. And this is what it does. So the fire here doesn't actually hurt you. Obviously that does. It doesn't have a massive penetration rate, but it does a ton of damage. Doesn't have a long range on it whatsoever either. But my god, this thing, like, I was testing it with 20 or 30 AI out in this field, and just, you know, doing that, you can wipe out almost all of them. Of course, without, you know, it being need to be said, this is another heavy weapon that doesn't show up in arsenals. So that's basically it for all of the gear that I've been working on here. Lots of cool stuff, lots of new things. You might have noticed over here that we have a couple new monsters as well. So the two classics were the dark one here and the librarian. But we've also added the arachnid, we've got the humanimal, and then we've got a ghost. This effect was really cool. I recently learned how to create like actual visors and stuff on helmets, and I figured I would try to do it with like a ghost, for example, and it works perfectly. In dark tunnels, he does glow slightly, so if you're looking really carefully, you will be able to see this ghost running around. The AI here are in the map, and they do use like the Bacon Ravage zombie AI, so they will run at you. There's one more over there that I was testing as well. This is kind of my first test into anomalies, because obviously we have the classic singing pipes that everyone knows about in Metro, but there's also other anomalies that show up in like the books, for example, and I figured it would be kind of fun to try and create like an electric anomaly. So I've got these just kind of goofy little sparks kind of going off of it. You see they're kind of these massive chunks that get a little bit smaller. It looks really cool when it's moving. It doesn't look super impressive during the day, but if I switch it to nighttime, it is so cool. This is how it looks at night. Get close up, you can actually see it emits quite a bit of light. Doesn't do any damage or anything like that just yet, but I'm super excited to see what I can do with this. If I can get them just to kind of roam around the map, I think that would be super, super cool. And I hope it adds a little bit of variety to people. And actually, you can see over there, the ghost is glowing slightly. It's got a white glow on it. So I'm super happy about that as well. But yeah, that's it for the gear. I think now it's time for me to hop into the map to show a couple of the things I've been working on. So I'll be right back. I'm just going to switch out to that, and I'll show off kind of a few things I've been working on. All right, so we're in the map now. You might think, what is this? Ignore the kind of buggy texture up there. That's something I'll adjust at a later date. But this one room in here is something I figured I would give all the factions access to. And this is just the shooting range. So we have all of our arsenals here, and people can just kind of test stuff out in here like this. If you check through your faction, there is a spawn in the in it right here. So if I zoom in, it's going to be like just over here. And I think it's really cool. A lot of people like to go in here when I created it, just kind of see what's happening, because I add guns so quickly that you're always kind of testing new stuff in here. Yeah, just want to start in here. There's not really much to show off, just a basic shooting range. I think it's really cool that this is like the one place that all factions can hang out in and kind of get their stuff geared up and saved in here for when they spawn back. But let me actually spawn in my main MOB, and then I'll show off a couple of the things that I was mentioning in the gear mod. Alright, so this is the Hansa spawn in here. Pretty much every MOB is going to look just like this. They're not going to really be that different at all. But I have this barbed wire set up. It's kind of nice with the 1.3 update that barbed wire actually does hurt you now. So, people won't be able to get in there and cause issues. It's gonna be kind of nice for people. I don't want them spawning or saving everything. The reason for that is when you leave your MOB, I have those heavy weapons that I mentioned just sitting here. They're all set to 5-minute timers, so people can sit here and wait for their ammo to spawn. And that's kind of the one trade-off. If you're gonna use this, is you're gonna have to wait. So I kind of figured this would be a good little way to encourage a little bit of balance, because I don't like the artificial sort of gear restrictions that a lot of servers do, where it's just kind of like an honor system almost, or it's like you just wait until an admin sees you with gear that you're not supposed to be using and then they tell you to remove it. I think it's just more fun if I restrict you with a timer. A little bit more freedom for everyone. The admins don't have to go around making sure people aren't using certain weapons, because it's like, if you've got the Gatling gun and you've got 4 boxes, you've waited well over 20 minutes most likely to get all of that. Now, you can't save them in the arsenals, but I did create a little bit of persistence in here, so I'm using the Zelix storage, persistent storage mod. So I have these lockers over here, and this is for people, this is for people to store like their bullets, for example. Or if you have the Gatling gun, if you have any of those heavy weapons, you can store them in here. When you take them out, obviously they will go away. So I think that's pretty balanced, I think, for the most part. But let me leave the MOB and I'll just kind of walk around the map and show off a couple of the things I've been doing. So as I was flying to the new area, I did want to show this off. I have roaming AI around the map here. I actually noticed there is a bit of a pit right there. So that's something I will have to fix at some point. Glad I caught that. But yeah, just got some of my humanimals running around the top here, looking for someone to take out. And I have a couple of packs around here. Excuse the FPS. That happens a little bit, I find, in Infusion, where it just tanks when it's loading all this stuff. But I have a few patches. So if I go into the UI, I have a patch there running around. I have a patch over here. There's not a ton that spawn in. You can see there's only like 10 of them that spawn in there. I've got another patch over here. Actually, I think this one here, yeah, these are underground. So they walk around back and forth. I like that they kind of patrol the station almost back and forth on this area. I'm quite a big fan of that. The nav mesh has finally been fixed. That was something a lot of people have been asking for. A lot of people have had issues with the nav mesh there. There's another pocket right here. If I go down, these will be the arachnids. You'll notice they're not animated yet, so they're kind of goofy. But I like how they kind of just walk around this little area here. They do get a little stuck. Some of the nav mesh is a little bit weird still, because obviously they're looking for terrain and the tunnel's in the way. But if someone comes around that corner, they will rush them pretty quickly. So if I just threw a guy right here. Yeah, you can see. Yeah, they're pretty strong. Big fan of them. Big fan of my monsters here. I like the way they swarm. It's really disturbing. Like, even without the animations, the way they kind of bump, it's not that bad. I was a little lazy and I didn't give them actual arachnid audio. What I did was I just pitched up the regular Russian by like, I think 200 times. So they're speaking Russian, but it's really squeaky, so it sounds like a bug kind of squeaking, and it's pretty freaky, to be honest. I love it so much. I'm excited to see these guys ambush people who kind of go around this corner, because there's reasons to go over here. That was another big thing people didn't like, because, a lot of the tunnels admittedly kind of looks like this. This is a work in progress where I'm going to start filling this stuff out more. But if we go up to Prospect Mira, which is right here, whoops, I've created a little bit, oh my gosh, I'm going crazy right now. I've created just a little glowing mushroom farm. We have a couple people who've been really wanting this, and you can walk up and pick these, and then you can actually take them to an area that I've called the Bazaar up north to sell them. And then I have a locker there so you can store your bullets as well. So I figured just like a little civilian area like this. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. It's going crazy right now. A little area like this. There's some lockers in there to store your mushrooms as well. Which is kind of cool. Just a little extra stuff for people to do. They can walk around, do a little bit of gathering. And then once they've gathered all of this, like I mentioned, we can just go up north, right here to the Bazaar. So if I actually, let's teleport myself there. This is the Bazaar. It's super cool. It's pretty low-key. You'll see there's a BTR here, and that's because I thought it would be fun to make it so you can buy a BTR for 20 boxes of bullets. It's quite a bit. It's not that much, though, so it's very possible that people will be able to start getting themselves some BTRs to drive around the map. Got a UAZ. We have a couple of vans here as well. Little area to hang out, the fire pit. Keep in mind, we did make some changes to the server, so the surface is KOS almost everywhere. There are certain parts on the surface that are labeled as not KOS, and that requires some sort of initiation. In here, it's not a safe zone. People can run up and shoot you. Obviously, we try and keep some RP to some extent, especially in shops like this. But we're kind of excited to see how this plays out for people to come up here and start buying and selling things. We have 3 tellers. So I go to this guy right here. You can just buy some guns. Right now, you'll notice all of these exist in the arsenal. So there's not a huge reason for factions to come up here and use this right now. Unless obviously they're already out on the field and they're using something like a bulldog, they can come up and buy some ammunition. But we are going to start restricting arsenals at some point. I keep talking about it. It's on my to-do list. I need to do it. But there will be reasons to come up here. Things like maybe the Gatling gun, flamethrower might be available up here. So if you want to come up and just buy like 10 boxes for your Gatling gun and then store them in a locker, that's something you can do. Over here, this guy, he buys guns. So you see a box of bullets. He'll buy a couple guns. Just a few right now. I didn't have time to really throw all of them in here because it takes a little bit of time to do it. And then this guy here, he buys some fish, and he also buys those mushrooms. So you'll see like they're scaled so on the rarity from the fishing mod. So like 1 turtle shell is a box of bullets. But I figured it'd be fun if the mushrooms were 1 box, because there's so many that spawn down in that mushroom farm that there would be real reasons for people to come up here if they have like 40 mushrooms stored. Boom, you've got 40 boxes of bullets. You can go over there and buy 2 BTRs and then patrol the surface now with your guys. There are roaming mutants around the area. I don't know how far they roam. You can adjust the radius. But sometimes they will go kind of past that, depending on what's happening. Like if I shoot, there's a chance they might come over here. So it's not totally safe in that regard. Like you might get rushed by AI in this area, and I think that's so cool. I like that a lot. The surface is a lot more dangerous. I think this area here doesn't have any kind of radiation. But in the city, there are pockets everywhere. There are some areas here, like I believe if I look over at the farm, which is just way down there, it might be hard to see. The farm right there, there is radiation. So you'll get some bleeding tick damage over time if you're not careful. So another thing that I created right here is the library. I am super excited for this. I think this is going to be so cool for people to come into. This is somewhat accurate. It's not like, you know, the most accurate. You go in, there's like this kind of cool little courtyard, or not courtyard, sorry, lobby area. We have all of our books down there. It's a pretty big area. We're gonna spawn librarians in here, obviously. So if you come in here looking for stuff, librarian might come out and shoot you, beat you. Oh my god, it'd be horrifying. I did create a little bit of verticality in here as well, because yeah, I figured there's got to be more than one way out. So I got like these stacked desks here. So whoops, let's see if I can get up. Yeah, and then you can jump into some of these new high rises that we got. I believe these were purchased in a pack a while back, and we just hadn't really much of a use for them. But now we do, and they're super nice. Again, apologies for the FPS. It's not always as bad. It's kind of a gamble in Infusion for people who've used it. Sometimes you'll hop into your map and you'll get 100 FPS. Other times you're getting like 20. It's not the most consistent from what I've noticed. And also, like, there's a lot of stuff being loaded. Like, this is probably like the biggest city in any map in Arma. Kind of absurd. But you do have to be careful because there are mutants in that direction roaming through these buildings and everything. So again, if you shoot up here, there is a chance they will hear and they might come running. So I'm up on an apartment right now, and you can actually see they're roaming around right now, looking at stuff. They go down pretty quick. Obviously the Valve is a pretty strong gun. So, you know, I wanted the sniper to drop these guys. They do require a little bit more firepower if you're using like a 5.56, for example. But it's nothing absurd. I think it's like five bullets or something, or maybe 6 bullets, and they'll go down pretty quickly. I think the scenery is super cool though. Just seeing everything. I changed the textures of the concrete blocks that all my buildings sit on, and I think they look so much better. Like, I have them using a terrain, kind of like a green screen terrain material, so they mimic whatever the terrain below them is, and it makes the city look so much more realistic. There isn't just big gray slabs sitting everywhere. It's all kind of blending in with how everything looks. So it does make the tunnels feel a little more realistic. It kind of feels more like it's actually baked into the map and not something that I just kind of jankily threw together. Over there is Aurora's crew's spawn. We have been brainstorming some ideas to maybe consolidate Aurora's crew with the Spartan Rangers and Polis, just to all be one, since we figured that would actually almost be more lore accurate in a way. But right now, that's just their spawn over there for when we had people who wanted to be Aurora's crew. They're kind of coming over from the previous server that we were playing in. But like, they wouldn't lose anything. They get all of their equipment. They can identify as Aurora's crew. They would just be a part of Polis. So I'm thinking of how I want to make that work. Maybe I keep the spawn, or maybe I just open this up so anyone can go up there and hang out. Because I'm a big fan of it. I like the staircase going up, and then they can just kind of overlook this part of the city. I really like that. So right here is kind of a unique thing. This was my first attempt at creating like openings into the metro from like a damaged area. This is where the Arbat Confederation spawns, and they're part of our Moscow unaffiliated faction. So the Moscow unaffiliated faction is a group where I have spawns for other sub-factions. I don't really want a lot of them, but we want to give Arbat a try just to change things up a tiny bit. And then, like I had kind of shown off with the gear, there is Children of the Forest as well. But I think this is super cool. We have like an old bridge that just leads into this area. And this is kind of like the Arbat station. So just another little RP area for people to spend some time in. Up north in the woods, this is where the Children of the Forest spawn. So this is their area here, bunch of sandbags. They're kind of protected by all these trees, and there are these logs surrounding, so no one can actually get in to screw with them. This is like their little town. It was an old logging camp here, so I've got like tables set up from old stumps. I've got tents and things. I have this big platform up here, like a treehouse, and then this is for like rallies and whatnot. And then the last thing that I want to show off in terms of like what I've done with the map is I've created the harbor. So this is just a massive area with all these storage containers here. It goes on for a very long time. We have some sunken ships over here. I think these look really cool. We have some shacks here. I think these look awesome. And then we've got this red one here because it is a little bit unique. This is the USS Tom. And you'll see we actually have Tom's army over here. So this isn't a real faction or anything. I also just noticed that all of these lamps are floating. But this isn't a real faction or anything. This is an AI faction because if I teleport myself here, there's actually someone in here. If you walk up, you can buy some NATO weapons. So I put the Groza in here just because I thought it was kind of cool. But I got the M16, the M21, and the M249 saw. I didn't really know how I wanted to incorporate NATO weapons because we kept discussing how it wasn't really that accurate having it in here. But I figured with the introduction of Tom's army as like a shop faction in the server, this is just a really cool idea for people to come in here. They can buy these guns, and then I have these lockers over here so they can stash them in if they want to. So I can stockpile some weapons. And then when you go down, I've got some UAZ shops over here so you can buy a vehicle to get out of here. But that's pretty much it, I think, in terms of some of the changes. There's a lot of just little different things that I've done in the map around here. So like nothing crazy. I've just adjusted little things here and there. I didn't add a ton of notable areas. I just figured it'd be kind of fun just to swap out a couple of things. Performance in the city here still needs a little bit of love because down in the tunnels it's okay. Over in the outskirts it's okay, but in the middle it does get a little bit rough. There's a lot of buildings, so I think I have to go through and clean up a little bit. Might have to remove some buildings because I mean 30 to 40 FPS, it's functioning like a lot of servers right now. That's kind of the Arma charm, I guess. But I think another kind of aspect of what I want to start working on is a little bit more for the performance. Don't really know how I'm gonna make it work, but needs a little bit of love there. But other than that, that's basically it for all of my changes. I've worked on a ton of stuff in here. Put a lot of work into my gear. All the factions, the AI running around actually doing stuff and fighting people. I think that's super fun. There's a lot of opportunities here for GMs to kind of go crazy and create little operations. The server is kind of quiet right now, like I said earlier. There is a lot of downtime, and a lot of people who moved on to other servers that have popped up that kind of piqued their interest. But I'm hoping some of the people who might have forgotten about this can see the video and see some of the cool changes that I've made. And then they'd be willing to come check it out. I'm going to keep working on this project. It's a lot of fun creating stuff, so I'm not too worried if the server never, really pops off, but it'd be really cool if it did. I want more people to see this because I think this server is extremely underrated. There's so much going on in here. There's a real economy in here. I've got all sorts of factions with AIs that can fight you. The verticality, like the tunnels, there's just a lot of cool stuff in here. So I'm really proud of what I've done so far. And if I make some big changes in the near future, I'll be sure to make another video because I think it's been too long since I've updated anyone on what I've been working on. But yeah, that's about it. I hope everyone has a really good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this from. And I'll talk to you later. See ya.